students. In this one video, you will get the lessons and the poems of Class 6 Marathi Medium subject English. Names of the lessons and poems are The Worth of a Fabric, The Wild Boar and the Fox, Lesson The Magic Herb, Grandpa Tells a Story, The Lion, the Man and the Statue, The Man Who Never Lied, The Lesson The Nightingale and the Nobleman. Next lesson, The Mouse Merchant. Dear students, the same lesson is also explained in Marathi, Undrache Vyapari. Next will be the motivational poem, The Man Who Thinks He Can. After that, a funny poem, There is a Hole in the Bucket. Next will be the inspirational poem, The Duck and the Kangaroo. Now the entertaining poem, Play by Day and Night. Next you will enjoy Songs of Happiness. And the next will be Minnie and Winnie. And dear students, if you enjoy, don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Now let's begin. Yes, dear students, but before I begin, let me tell you, at the end you will also get the chance to listen one Panchatantra story. Dear students, now it's time to understand a beautiful lesson. Name of the lesson, The Worth of a Fabric. Thiruvalluvar was a great Tamil Sant poet who lived more than 2000 years ago. Thirukural is the book of his teachings. It is greatly loved and respected even today. Thiruvalluvar was a textile weaver. He wove beautiful fabrics and saris and sold them in the market. People said that he never got angry, never used bad words, never shouted at anyone. In the same town, there lived a rich young man. He wasted most of his time roaming around with his friends. They often made fun of other people. I don't believe what people say about Valluvar, said the young man one day. I am sure I can make him angry. Come on, let's have fun. Come on, let's have some fun today. So the arrogant young man approached Thiruvalluvar in the market and picked up a beautiful piece of fabric. How much does this whole fabric cost? He asked. 8 coins. The Sant named the price. The young man unfolded the fabric and tore it into 2 pieces. What's the price of this piece now? 4 coins. The saint answered politely. The youth was taken aback. Why doesn't the man get angry? He thought. Now it was the young man who became impatient and agitated. He tore the pieces into half again and again, saying, And now, what's the price now? Thiruvalluvar calmly went on reducing the price to half every time. At last, the fabric was reduced to rags. Thiruvalluvar said in a quiet tone, Now this fabric has become worthless. I will not name any price for these rags. The young man did not know what to say, but he was proud of his riches. So he offered to pay 8 coins to the saint. For the first time, Thiruvalluvar smiled but he refused to take the money. Young man, now this fabric is of no use. It has become worthless. Why? Because no one will be able to wear it now. Do you know, the fabric was not made in a day. Many people have toiled to make it. The farmer who grew cotton in his field worked hard for months through sun and rain. He picked cotton from each ball and gave it for spinning. Then someone else carded the cotton and spun it into long, uniform threads. The threads were dyed carefully so that they took on these lovely colors. My wife and I wove the threads together, putting it beautifully designed. We thought, someday someone will like this fabric, will be happy to wear it. Then all our work would have been rewarded. When you destroyed the fabric, you destroyed all the love and labor that went into its making. Money cannot bring it back. The softly spoken words touched the young man's heart. Now he was really ashamed of himself. And do you know? Tiruvalluvar went on to say, I can weave another fabric like this, but our life is also like this fabric. If you tear it apart with hasty, thoughtless actions, it will be destroyed and you will not get it back again. Tiruvalluvar's words opened young man's eyes. There and then he decided to give up his idleness and bad habits. Dear students, hope you understand the lesson and like the story. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching. The another lesson of Marathi medium class 6. Name of the lesson: The Wild Boar and the Fox. One day, a wild boar was sharpening his tusk against the bark of a tree. He was doing it very carefully. There lived a fox in the same forest. He was always looking for a chance to make fun of other animals in the forest. When he saw the wild boar, he decided to tease him. He began to walk around the tree, looking left and right and up and down. He also began to act as if he was really scared. But the boar did not pay any attention to him. He kept right on with his work. At last, the fox said with a grin, "Why are you doing that? I tried very hard, but I did not see any hidden enemy or danger." "True," replied the boar. "Just now there may not be any danger, but when it really comes, there won't be any time to sharpen my tusks. My weapons have to be ready for use then. If I am not ready, I will have to suffer." Very true, students. This story tells us that it is best to be prepared. Don't leave things to be done at the last minute. Dear students, here is the another lesson of Marathi medium class 6. Name of the lesson: The Magic Herb. Knock, knock, knock. Someone was knocking on the door of the inn. It was already getting dark outside. "Who's there?" the innkeeper called from within. "I am a poor, tired merchant. I want to spend the night at the inn." said the man outside. The innkeeper was not pleased to hear that the man was poor. But all the same, he opened the door and brought him inside. The merchant wore simple garments and carried only a simple bag on his back. The merchant, I have spent a long, tiring day at the market. I don't have the energy to walk back to my village. Please prepare a simple dinner for me, requested the merchant. The innkeeper just nodded and went back to the kitchen. He began to complain to his wife. What the point in serving such beggarly customer? He calls himself a merchant. But look at his clothes. Look at his bag. His shoes are all worn out. He has to carry his merchandise himself. Cannot afford a servant. Cannot afford even a good meal. You are right, said his wife. We cook a meal for him, give him a place to sleep, and what is he going to pay in return? Just a couple of coins, maybe? Why did you take him in? Drive him out. No, said the innkeeper. That is not good for our reputation. But I have an idea, a very clever idea. I have this magic herb. I bought it long ago. Whoever eats this herb forgets something. We will cook a good meal for this fellow and add the magic herb to it. Then he is sure to forget some of his merchandise here tomorrow. How clever you are, exclaimed the wife. Yes, what else can he forget? He has just his merchandise with him. Maybe he will forget all of it and leave it behind here. It will surely be ours tomorrow. So that's what the greedy couple did. They cooked a tasty meal for their customer and added the magic herb to it. The poor merchant did not suspect anything. He thanked the innkeeper for the good meal and went to bed. Dear students, don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. The next morning, as soon as the innkeeper and his wife woke up, they went to the merchant's room. But alas, the merchant was not there. The room was empty. What's this? There is no one here. And where is the bag of merchandise? That too is gone. She said, let's check. The magic of the herb is quite strong. He must have forgotten something. He must have left something behind. The innkeeper searched in every nook and corner of the room, but he couldn't find anything. How come he forgot nothing? I can't believe it, said he. Suddenly the wife slapped herself on the forehead. We were so foolish. He has certainly forgotten something. He has forgotten to pay us. The innkeeper never used the magic herb again. Thank you for watching.
Friend, today you will listen Grandpa's story. This story is from class 6 Marathi medium. Name of the lesson is Tit for Tat. Once upon a time, a camel and a jackal lived by a river near the water's edge. And on the other side of the river there was a village with fields and farms. The jackal was very clever. He tried to play a trick on his friend. The camel, who was happily munching away his food, the jackal began to tempt him to go for a sugarcane treat in the farmer's field. At first, the camel hesitated, but in the end, he agreed to go with the jackal to raid the sugarcane field. The jackal sat on the camel's back and the two friends crossed the river. They ate their fill in the sugarcane field. Suddenly, the jackal began to howl. "Shh," said the camel, "you will wake the farmers." But the jackal went on howling. Sure enough, the farmers and his friends came running to the field. The naughty jackal slipped away, but the poor camel could not do so. The farmer beat him up and drove him away. The jackal was waiting for the camel at the riverside. He said, "Sorry, brother, but I am in the habit of singing after a good dinner. I hope you didn't mind it much." The camel didn't say anything. He let the jackal sit on his back and entered the river. The water was very deep. There the camel began to take a dip in the water. The jackal was frightened. "What are you doing? You silly fellow, are you trying to drown me?" "No, brother," said the camel. "It's just that I am in the habit of taking a dip in the river after a good meal. I hope you don't mind." The naughty jackal learned his lesson. He never troubled the camel again. Dear children, don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching. Name of the lesson: The Lion, the Man and the Statue. Long ago, men and animals could talk to each other. Once a man and a lion got talking. The lion was very proud of his strength. "I am the king of beasts. I am stronger than any man. That is why men fear me." The man was also proud of his intelligence. Don't forget that men are more intelligent than you are. That is why they can hunt you or capture you. They both began to argue about who was greater. At last, the man took the lion to a statue in a big garden. It showed the great hero Hercules standing proudly with a dead lion at his feet. "See, this statue proves that men are greater," claimed the man. "No, not at all," the lion replied quickly. "This only shows that the statue was made by a man. If lions made statues, they would show the lion standing and the man lying dead under his paws." Dear children, from this story, we can see that the story depends on the storyteller. When someone else tells the same story, they tell it from their point of view. Hope you like the story. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching. Dear children, today I will tell you the story. This is a folk tale from Africa, a story of Muhammad. Name of the lesson: The Man Who Never Lied. One special thing
about Muhammad was that he never told a lie. It's not very easy to do that. But Muhammad was a wise man. He kept his eyes open to what was going on around him and chose his words carefully. He became famous as the man who never lied. Even people who lived 20 days away knew about him. When people told the king about Muhammad, the king was not ready to believe it. "Bring this man to me," he said. So Muhammad was brought before the king. "Muhammad, is it true that you never tell a lie?" "Yes, Your Majesty." "And you will never tell a lie in future?" "Never, Your Majesty." The king looked at Muhammad thoughtfully. Be careful. Sometimes we don't even know how the lie gets on our tongue. Some days passed. The king called Muhammad again. When Muhammad came, the king was just coming out of his palace. There were many people around him. He was going on a hunt. The king called Muhammad over to him. "Muhammad, I am going on a hunt and then to my summer palace." The king spoke as he walked towards his horse. He held the horse's mane and put his left foot in the stirrup. Then he turned to Muhammad and said, "Now run to the summer palace and tell the queen to prepare a big feast for me and my people, including you. Hurry!" That time Muhammad noticed something. Muhammad turned and hurried to the summer palace. When he left, the king began to laugh. He told to his companion, "I am not going anywhere today. Just wait till Muhammad tells this lie to the queen." The next day, the king went to his summer palace. "Did Muhammad tell you to prepare a feast for me yesterday?" "It was a lie." "Muhammad gave me your message yesterday." The queen answered. Muhammad said, "Maybe the king will come here by noon. Maybe he won't." "And what does that mean? Tell me for sure." "I told Muhammad, but Muhammad said, I can't tell you for sure. I don't know whether the king put his right foot in the stirrup or whether he put his left foot on the ground again after I left. So we just waited for you yesterday, but you didn't come." When the king heard this, he was taken aback. He agreed that Muhammad was really a wise man who only spoke what he saw with his own eyes. Nothing more, nothing less. Dear students, like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching.
Now, my dear students, it's time to understand the lesson The Nightingale and the Nobleman. The nobleman in a faraway land once caught a nightingale and put him in a cage. No bird likes to be shut up in a cage. The nightingale began to plead. "Please set me free. If you let me go, I will tell you the secret of happiness." The nobleman was rich but not happy. He wanted to know the secret of happiness, so he let the bird go. The bird thanked him and said, "Listen, This is the secret of happiness. Number 1, never cry over spilt milk. And number 2, never trust idle words. The nobleman didn't think much of the secret. He said, "This is just a silly piece of advice." The nightingale flew a little higher and said, "Too bad you let me go. I have rare diamonds under my wings. Now you won't get any of them." Now the nobleman was really very angry and very unhappy. "Oh no, how stupid of me, you wicked bird! You nasty bird! Wait till I catch you again," he began to wail. "Don't be so upset, my lord," said the nightingale. "It was kind of you to let me go. That's why I gave you a good piece of advice. The first thing I said you was, don't cry over spilt milk. I am already far away from you. You can't catch me again. Then why make yourself unhappy about it? Secondly, how can an ordinary bird like me have diamonds under his wings? Those were just idle words of mine. It's a mistake to trust such words. Use my bits of advice and be happy. Farewell." The nobleman watched as the bird flew away. Moral of the story: never cry over spilt milk and never trust idle words. Dear students, thank you for watching and like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching.
Good morning, my dear students. Today, let us see the lesson which teaches us how politeness, hard work, and intelligence gives us success. Let us see the journey of poor Somdatta. He was a poor orphan boy. With his intelligence and hard work, how he became a rich merchant. Name of the lesson: The Mouse Merchant. Once, a rich merchant was scolding his lazy son. "I gave you so much money to start a business, and yet you have not earned anything. You are good for nothing." Look at this dead mongoose. A capable man can start a business even with something as useless as this. Somdatta, who was a poor orphan boy, heard his words. He went in and requested the merchant, "Please lend me this mouse as a capital and I will try my luck." Ha ha ha! The merchant burst out laughing. But still, he gave the mouse to Somdatta and took the receipt that Somdatta wrote out to him. Somdatta was walking down the street with the dead mouse in his hand. When another shopkeeper called him, "Come here, boy. I need the mouse to feed my cat. I will give you 2 handfuls of gram for it." Somdatta accepted the gram. Somdatta was very happy with this deal. At home, Somdatta roasted the gram well. Then he took a pitcher of water and stood at the crossroad with his gram and the water. He waited for a long time. In the evening, when the laborers were returning from the wood, they saw the boy with roast gram and water. Somdatta offered them the gram and water politely. "But we have no money. 2 sticks of wood is all we can give." "That's a good payment for this simple fare," exclaimed Somdatta. By accepting 2 sticks from each laborer, Somdatta collected a small bundle of sticks. He took the bundle to the market, sold it, and bought some more gram with it. Somdatta did this every day. He became well known among the laborers as the nice boy who offered tasty gram and refreshing water just for a couple of sticks. Many of them began to buy his grams every day on their way back from the woods. Somdatta got several bundles of sticks every day because now he had so many customers. Once, when Somdatta was selling the sticks in the market, he met a potter. He needed wood to burn in his furnace. In return for the sticks, he gave Somdatta pots for his gram and a few pitchers for the water. Somdatta did not waste any money. He worked hard to sell the wood in the morning and the gram in the evening. One day, he had enough money to buy all the wood from the laborers. He sold it at a good price in the market. After some time, he even set up his own shop in the market. He was always polite to his customers. Some of them paid him cash, while others paid him in kind. They gave him whatever articles they could offer. Somdatta always found some way of selling the articles to those who needed them. After a few years, Somdatta became a wealthy merchant in the town. One day, he asked the goldsmith to make him a small golden mouse. He took the mouse to the rich merchant. Dear students, hope you understand the lesson. If you enjoy, don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Somdatta took the mouse to the rich merchant. I had borrowed a dead mouse from you as capital many years ago. Today I have come to return it. Please accept this golden mouse. The rich merchant was greatly surprised. He was so impressed with Somdatta's business skills that he gave him his own daughter in marriage. Somdatta, who was a poor orphan boy, earned money and respect due to his hard work and politeness and intelligence. It is not known whether the rich man's son learned any of the skills from Somdatta. Thank you for watching.
As the lesson, The Mouse Merchant is from Marathi medium. Class 6. To understand it better, let us see the lesson in Marathi also. उंदराचा व्यापारी. एकदा एक श्रीमंत व्यापारी त्याच्या 80 मुलाची खरडपट्टी काढत होता. मी तुला तुझा व्यवसाय सुरू करण्याकरिता एवढे पैसे दिले आणि तरीही तू काहीच कमावले नाहीस. तू अगदी कुचकामी आहेस. या मेलेल्या उंदराकडे पहा. एखादा कार्यक्षम माणूस अशा एखाद्या निरुपयोगी वस्तूपासून सुद्धा व्यवसाय सुरू करू शकतो. सोमदत्ता या गरीब अनाथ मुलाने त्याचे हे शब्द ऐकले. तो आत गेला आणि त्याने त्या व्यापाऱ्याला विनंती केली, कृपया मला हा उंदीर भांडवल म्हणून उसना द्या आणि मी माझे नशीब आजमावतो. तो व्यापारी मोठ्याने हसला. परंतु तरीही त्याने तो उंदीर सोमदत्तला दिला आणि सोमदत्ताने त्याला लिहून दिलेली पावती घेतली. तो मेलेला उंदीर हातात घेऊन सोमदत्त रस्त्याने चालला होता. त्याच वेळी दुसऱ्या एका दुकानदाराने त्याला बोलावले. मुला, इकडे ये. मला तो उंदीर माझ्या मांजराला खाऊ घालण्याकरिता पाहिजे. मी त्याकरिता तुला 2 मूठभर हरभरे देईन. सोमदत्तने ते हरभरे स्वीकारले. सोमदत्तने घरी ते हरभरे चांगले भाजले. नंतर त्याने पाण्याची एक सुरई घेतली आणि त्याच्या हरभऱ्यांसह आणि पाण्यासह रस्त्याच्या फाट्यावर उभा राहिला. त्याने खूप वेळ प्रतीक्षा केली. संध्याकाळी मजूर लोक जंगलातून परत येत असताना त्यांनी भाजलेले हरभरे आणि पाणी घेऊन असलेल्या त्या मुलाला पाहिले. सोमदत्ताने त्यांना नम्रपणे ते हरभरे व पाणी दिले. परंतु आमच्याकडे पैसे नाहीत. आम्ही तुला फक्त लाकडाच्या या 2 काठ्या देऊ शकतो. या साध्या भोजनाकरिता ही चांगली बिदागी आहे, सोमदत्ता उद्गारला. प्रत्येक मजुराकडून 2 काठ्या घेऊन सोमदत्ताने काठ्यांची एक मोळी गोळी केली. त्याने ती मोळी बाजारात नेली. ती विकली आणि त्यातून त्याने आणखी काही हरभरे आणले. सोमदत्त असे दर दिवशी करू लागला. केवळ 2 काठ्यांकरिता चवदार हरभरे व ताजे पाणी देणारा छानसा मुलगा म्हणून तो मजुरांमध्ये प्रसिद्ध झाला. त्यापैकी अनेक जण जंगलातून परत येताना त्याचे हरभरे दर दिवशी विकत घेऊ लागले. सोमदत्तला दर दिवशी काठ्यांच्या अनेक मोळ्या मिळू लागल्या, कारण त्याला आता भरपूर ग्राहक मिळू लागले होते. एकदा बाजारात सोमदत्त त्या काठ्या विकत असताना त्याला एक कुंभार भेटला. त्याला आपल्या भट्टीत जाळण्याकरिता लाकडे पाहिजे होती. त्या काठ्यांच्या बदल्यात त्या कुंभारने सोमदत्तला हरभऱ्यांकरिता मातीची भांडी आणि पाण्याकरिता थोड्या सुरया दिल्या. सोमदत्तने कोणतेही पैसे वाया घालवले नाहीत. तो सकाळी लाकडे विकण्याकरिता आणि संध्याकाळी हरभरे विकण्याकरिता खूप मेहनत करू लागला. एक दिवस त्याच्याकडे त्या मजुरांकडून सर्वांच्या सर्व लाकडे विकत घेण्या एवढे पैसे जमा झाले. त्याने ती लाकडे बाजारात चांगल्या किमतीने विकली. काही काळानंतर त्याने बाजारात स्वतःच्या मालकीचे दुकान सुद्धा थाटले. तो आपल्या ग्राहकांशी नेहमी नम्रपणे वागत असे. त्या ग्राहकांपैकी काही जण त्याला रोख पैसे देत असत, तर काही जण त्याला वस्तूंच्या स्वरूपात किंमत देत असत. ज्या ज्या वस्तू त्यांना देता येऊ शकतील त्या वस्तू ते त्याला देत असत. सोमदत्त नेहमीच त्या वस्तू गरज असलेल्या लोकांना विकण्याचा कोणता तरी मार्ग शोधत असे. काही वर्षानंतर सोमदत्त त्या शहरातील एक श्रीमंत व्यापारी बनला. एके दिवशी त्याने एका सोनाऱ्याला त्याच्यासाठी एक लहान सोन्याचा उंदीर तयार करायला सांगितले. तो ते उंदीर त्या श्रीमंत व्यापाऱ्याकडे घेऊन गेला. बऱ्याच वर्षांपूर्वी मी तुमच्याकडून भांडवल म्हणून एक मेलेला उंदीर उसना घेतला होता. आज मी तो तुम्हाला परत करायला आलो आहे. कृपया हा सोन्याचा उंदीर स्वीकारा. तो श्रीमंत व्यापारी अत्यंत आश्चर्यचकित झाला. सोमदत्तच्या व्यापारी कौशल्याने तो एवढा प्रभावित झाला की त्याने त्याच्या स्वतःच्या मुलीशी लग्न लावून दिले. अशा प्रकारे गरीब अनाथ असलेला सोमदत्तने त्याचे बुद्धिमत्ता, मेहनत आणि नम्रता ह्यामुळे पैसे आणि सन्मान मिळवला. त्या श्रीमंत माणसाचा मुलगा सोमदत्ताकडून काही कौशल्य शिकला की नाही ते समजले नाही. मुलांनो, व्हिडिओ लाईक करायला विसरू नका. थँक यू फॉर वॉचिंग.
Friends.
Now let us understand the poem. which is very motivational and you will definitely like it.
Name of the poem: The Man Who Thinks He Can.
by Walter D. Wintle.
If you think you are beaten,
You are.
if you think you dare not,
You don't.
if you like to win, but you think you can't,
It is almost certain you won't.
if you think you'll lose,
You are lost. For out of the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind.
if you think you are outclassed,
You are. You have got to think high to rise. You have got to think high to rise. You have got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize.
life's battle don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Who thinks he can.
Who thinks he can. A man who thinks he can. Thank you for watching.
Hello, dear friends.
We are here to present a very funny and entertaining poem.
Name of the poem is
There's a hole in a bucket.
There's a hole in the bucket, dear Lisa, dear Lisa. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Lisa. There's a hole.
Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Fix it.
With what should I fix it, dear Lisa, dear Lisa? With what should I fix it, dear Lisa? With what?
With straw, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With straw, dear Henry, dear Henry. With straw.
But the straw is too long, dear Lisa, dear Lisa. The straw is too long, dear Lisa, too long.
Then cut it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then cut it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Cut it.
With what shall I cut it, dear Lisa, dear Lisa? With what shall I cut it, dear Lisa? With what?
With an axe, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With an axe, dear Henry, an axe.
But the axe is too dull, dear Lisa, dear Lisa. The axe is too dull, dear Lisa, too dull.
Then sharpen it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then sharpen it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Sharpen it.
With what should I sharpen it, dear Lisa, dear Lisa? With what should I sharpen, dear Lisa? With what?
With a stone, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With a stone, dear Henry, dear Henry. A stone.
But the stone is too dry, dear Lisa, dear Lisa. The stone is too dry, dear Lisa, too dry.
Then wet it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then wet it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Wet it.
With what should I wet it, dear Lisa, dear Lisa? With what should I wet it, dear Lisa? With what?
With water, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With water, dear Henry, dear Henry. With water.
But how shall I get it, dear Lisa, dear Lisa? But how shall I get it, dear Lisa? But how?
In the bucket, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. In the bucket, dear Henry, dear Henry. In the bucket.
But there is a hole in the bucket, dear Lisa, there is a hole in the bucket, dear Lisa. There is a hole. Thank you for watching.
We are here to present a very funny and entertaining poem.
Name of the poem is
The Duck and the Kangaroo. Said the duck to the kangaroo, "Good gracious, how you hop over the fields and the water too, as if you never would stop. My life is a bore in this nasty pond, and I long to go out in the world beyond. I wish I could hop like you," said the duck to the kangaroo.
Said the kangaroo to the duck, "This requires some little reflection. Perhaps on the whole it might bring me luck, and there seems but one objection, which is, if you will let me speak so bold, your feet are unpleasantly wet and cold, and would probably give me the rheumatis," said the kangaroo.
Said the duck, "As I sat on the rocks, I have thought over that completely, and I bought 4 pairs of worsted socks, which fit my web feet neatly."
Said the kangaroo, "I'm ready, all in the moonlight pale, but to balance me well, dear duck, sit steady and quiet at the end of my tail."
So away they went with a hop and a bound, and they hopped the whole world 3 times round.
And who so happy, oh who, as the duck and the kangaroo?
Funny and entertaining poem.
Name of the poem is Play by Day and Night. Play by day and night. Bring the hoop and bring the ball. Come with happy faces all. Let us make a merry ring.
Talk and laugh and dance and sing. Quickly, quickly come away.
For it is a pleasant day.
Girls and boys come out to play.
The moon does shine as bright as day. Leave your supper and leave your sleep.
And come with your playfellows into the street.
Come with a hoop, come with a call.
Come with a good will or come not at all.
Come, little girls and boys.
And play by day and night.
Thank you.
And listen to songs of happiness. When you are happy. When you are happy and you know it, clap your hands. When you are happy and you know it, clap your hands. When you are happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, when you are happy and you know it, clap your hands. A cute poem, Minnie and Winnie. Minnie and Winnie slept in a shell. Sleep, little ladies, and they slept well. Pink was the shell within, silver without. Sounds of the great sea wandered about. Sleep, little ladies, wake not soon. Echo on echo, dies to the moon. Two bright stars peeped into the shell. What are they dreaming of? Who can tell? Started a green linnet out of the craft. Wake, little ladies, the sun is aloft. Tired of reading? Here is the solution. Bedtime stories for you. Listen while sleeping. Here are Panchatantra stories for you. Yes, but don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Enjoy the stories. Bedtime stories. Bedtime stories. Bedtime stories. Listen while sleeping. Books are our best friends. They give us knowledge. Many children begin friendship with books, with the stories. But sometimes they are tired of reading. So here is the solution. If you feel tired of reading, just listen. Here are many stories for you. Just subscribe the channel and enjoy the various educational videos. Here is one story for you. Name of the story, The Big Lion and the Little Rabbit. If you enjoy, please like and share. And if you have visited first time our channel, subscribe it for more such videos. Thank you. Once there lived a huge lion in a vast jungle. All the other animals were afraid of him because every day he hunted and killed them in large numbers. Before long, they knew none of them would be left alive. They had to find a way to stop this senseless killing. One day, they met and decided to go to the lion himself. Next day, a large number of animals went to the lion. He roared in happiness, for he thought he could kill them all without having to hunt for them. Your Majesty, said their spokesman, please hear us before you try to kill us. You are our king and we are your subjects. The rate at which you are killing animals, none of us will be left in the jungle except you. How can there be a king without subjects? When we all die, you will no longer be a king. We want your Majesty to remain our king forever. We have, therefore, a humble suggestion. We ask you, great Lord, to stay home always. We, on our part, will send you one animal every day for your food. Your Majesty will not have to hunt anymore and will have enough food at home. Thus the king and his subjects can live in peace. The lion thought over the matter. He felt there was some sense in what the animals proposed. All right, said the lion. I agree to your plan. But if you fail to send me my food on any day, I will kill as many animals as I like. The animals promised him that they would not let him down. From that day, every day, one animal went to the lion to be eaten up. This went on for a long time. One day, the turn of rabbit came. A little rabbit was asked to go to the lion. This rabbit was very clever. He did not like the idea of being killed and eaten up by the lion. There must be a way to save himself and, if possible, the lives of other animals also. He thought for a long time and at last decided on a plan of action. The rabbit set out for the lion's den. But he was in no hurry. He took his own time. The lion was very hungry. By the time the rabbit arrived, and he was furious when he saw a punny little animal coming towards him. He roared, "Who sent you here? You are too small for a meal and you are very late. I shall teach all the animals a lesson for sending you here. I will kill them all." The little rabbit bowed low and said, "Oh great king, please hear me. You will not blame me or the other animals for what has happened. They all knew that one rabbit was too little for you and so had sent 6 rabbits. But on the way, 5 of us were killed and eaten up by another lion." "Another lion?" exclaimed the lion. "Who is he? Where did you see him?" "He is a big lion," said the rabbit. "He came out of a big cave. He was going to kill me also. But I said to him, 'You don't know what you have done. We were all going to our king. Now you have spoiled his dinner. He is not the sort of king who will allow such thing to happen. He will come and eat you up. Be prepared." He then asked me, "Who is this king of yours?" "Our king is the biggest lion in this jungle," I said. He was furious and said, "You know, I am the only king in this jungle and all the animals here are my subjects. I can deal with them as I like. This fellow you say is your king is an impostor. Bring him here and I shall show him who the real king is." And he sent me to take you here. On hearing this, the lion roared and roared in anger, and his roar shook the whole jungle. "Show me the way to the place where this fool lives," said the lion. "I cannot have peace until I see him and kill him." "Quite so, master," said the rabbit. "The fellow deserves to be killed. How I wish I were bigger, for then I myself would have torn him to pieces." "Show me the way to the place where this fool lives." "Show me the way," said the lion. "Show me the way." "Yes, master, please come with me." The little rabbit led the lion to a well in the jungle. "There, my lord," said the rabbit. "He stays in this fortress. Be careful. An enemy in a fortress is difficult to deal with." "Leave that to me," said the lion. "Where is he?" "He was right here when I saw him," said the rabbit. "The moment he saw you coming, he might have jumped into the fortress. Come, sir, I shall show him to you." The rabbit went to the well and asked the lion to look down. The lion looked into the well and saw his own image reflected in the water. He roared in anger. From inside the well came a louder roar. He did not wait a second longer. Into the well jumped the lawyer to kill the enemy. His head crushed against the rocks. He fell into the water and was drowned. The little rabbit returned home and told the other animals how he had got rid of the dreaded lion. Whole jungle was happy and danced and celebrated the day. The end. And this was the happy ending. Before you leave, don't forget to like. Goodbye.